This is the first time I have a lawyer on my podcast. So I am very curious as well as a bit worried with the words and everything what I'm going to use. Please pardon me.
No, of course not. That she's actually doing something to help people. You know, this is what a lawyer does, right? People come to them with their problems to say, hey, fix it for me. I'm actually a nice person.
I can see that, yes.
Thank you. So, no, you're absolutely right. You said it. I'm very much serious. And then when people get to know me, they think, oh, you know what? She's very lighthearted. She likes to talk. She likes it. Well, lawyers do talk, but likes to talk about other things, rather than problems or something. And I like to have a good time. I love to live the day as it comes, which normally goes, I wouldn't say against what a lawyer does, because we say, please be careful how you do things, right? But I think if you're careful, but then live the moment, everything should be okay.
And most of the time in organizations, it happens that people are a bit reluctant or they take a step back when it comes to a legal department or maybe the HR team and all. So they think 10 times before actually bringing something in front of them.
I think the fundamentals are the same, but I think this is a mistake that people do make, especially big organizations which have got different branches across the GCC, assuming that, it's all the same labor law. It's not. So obviously these change from country to country based on missions and visions of each country, depending on the values of the countries as well as I would say also the ratio of expats and locals as well. So this is where it plays as well. So I've seen that lacking. There are the basic fundamentals, like I've said in the beginning. You've even got Sharia law embedded in there in most of them. But at the same time, they change. So when you're having these transition between companies now, which I'm seeing some employees based, for example, in Oman, now moving to Saudi Arabia, it's important that HR is educating them on the laws and the labor laws or the HR laws, as you say, because they are different. I come prepared with facts, whereas it always was in a scenario where if it was a male in front of me, they were not coming in with facts. They were very much confident sitting back and saying, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I wanted to turn around and say, no, it's 6, 7, 8, 9, I'd have to very much show the facts 1 time, 2 times, 10 times, and then at the end they were like, she knows what she's talking about, but they wouldn't admit it to me, right? And this is the thing, that's also the male ego.
Hi everyone, a very happy and a prosperous new year to you all. And today we are here to meet someone incredible. Meet a woman who stands at the powerful intersection of law, leadership and people. A trilingual lawyer and HR expert with over 15 years of experience across the UAE and KSA. She has built a career navigating some of the most complex legal employment and governance systems in the region, not just with intelligence but with integrity. She doesn't just understand policies and contracts, she understands people. From shaping employment frameworks in government and semi-government organizations to protecting both organizations and employees through ethical, forward-thinking HR and legal leadership. Her work is about creating workplaces that are fair, resilient, and future-ready. What makes her truly remarkable isn't just her expertise, it's her ability to bring humanity into systems that often forget it. She is a proof that you can be both powerful and principled, strategic and compassionate, firm and fair. Get ready to hear from a woman who is quietly redefining what leadership in law and HR truly looks like. So let's all welcome Ms. Juhayer Al-Rasheed. Hi, Juhayer. Welcome to our show. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. So I'm Juhayer Al-Rasheed. I'm a HR legal professional. Have been in the field for over 16 years now. And I'm currently residing in Dubai and I'm of Saudi origin.
That's wonderful to know about you. Okay. So, and I'll tell you, this is the first time I have a lawyer on my podcast. So I am very curious as well as a bit worried with the words and everything what I'm going to use. Please pardon me.
No, of course not.
Okay. So you came from a long lineage of lawyers. What was your earliest memory of realizing that this is your path and this is what you wanted to follow?
Well, it was mainly my mum. So my mum was a very active lawyer. Actually, she was a barrister. And that never stopped her. And considering we're talking about something that was, over 30 years ago, that's when I was born around that time, I could see that my mum was very passionate of what she was doing, considering that she was taking care of all her children. Never let that stop her. You know what I mean? She kept on going. I could see she was working day in, day out, taking care of us, but also all these documents around the house. And I could see all these little attention to details. And I could see her sometimes just sit back and think and then keep on writing. But I wouldn't understand because I was a child, wasn't I? So I would just look at her thinking, whatever she's doing, I want to do. But then as I was growing up, I understood that she's actually doing something to help people. This is what a lawyer does, right? People come to them with their problems to say, hey, fix it for me. So when I could see that she was doing it with all passion, I knew that this is something that I wanted to do.
That's lovely. I think this is all, that is why you have inherited everything from your mom. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
And this was wonderful to know. Okay, so lawyers often get seen as serious and very structured. Yeah,
That's true.
What is something about you that people would be surprised to learn?
I'm actually a nice person.
I can see that, yes.
Thank you. So, no, you're absolutely right. You said it. I'm very much serious. And then when people get to know me, they think, oh, you know what? She's very lighthearted. She likes to talk. She likes to, well, lawyers do talk, but likes to talk about other things, rather than problems or something. And I like to have a good time. I love to live the day as it comes, which normally goes, I wouldn't say against what a lawyer does, because we say, please be careful how you do things, right? But I think, if you're careful, but then live the moment, everything should be okay. That's what I always say. So yeah, I think that's what people do get a little bit drawn back when they come to know me and think, wait, are you the same person? You always look so serious, but no, I am the same person.
What is that thing which you like to do apart from work?
Oh, I love animals. So I do a lot of activities with my dog in particular. So a lot of outdoor stuff, which now is the great time to do that. As you can see, the weather's fantastic.
Right.
And I like to give back to the community. I do whatever I can. Luckily I was, brought up in a fortunate background, but I know there's a lot of people which have been, raised in unfortunate circumstances, and they might be going through something. If I can help them, I'm very much active on LinkedIn, for example. People know that if they want to knock on the door of a lawyer, they think, oh, what's the fees to ask them a question? I answer on LinkedIn. I have people approach me on LinkedIn saying, if you don't mind, can you advise me what I can do? And I say, listen, I'll advise you in a friendly way, but also, be careful with what you're doing. So whatever I could give back from stuff as basic as LinkedIn or outside in the community, I do that.
And I think this is the best part of your professional as well. I mean, you are enjoying it because you are giving back to the society as well.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Wonderful. So you work for the royal families as well as the government entities and MNCs as well.
Yes.
So what value from your upbringing actually helped you navigate such high-stake environment?
Trust. Trust was one of the values. We had various, but the main one was trust. That, trust is not given, it's earned, isn't it? So as I was growing up when I was younger, it was that being built in me saying, when people start trusting you, people start giving you, people start rewarding you for what you do. And this is something that I took along with me, because as you've got the trust there, loyalty comes along, and the confidence as well. So these are like the three main values that have been really, as I say, embedded in me since a younger age, saying, okay, this is the way I need to perform. And as I'm performing in life in general, it then goes on to the professional life as well as the private life. So professionally, even as a leader as well, when I'm bringing in trust and I'm showing employees that you can trust me as your leader, then you can see the performance of your team, come back to you and say, okay, thank you very much. We can trust in you, therefore we would like to perform. And then you get loyalty back for the trust that you've given. So it's kind of like a transaction. So these are the things which I've really taken along in my life and try my best. Obviously, nobody's perfect. We make mistakes, don't we? But, in general, this is the kind of values that I take, and I do try and embed it in the team and say, listen, it's a two-way road. Let's work together on this.
I'm glad you mentioned this thing about the trust. Actually, it's a two-way process, rightly mentioned by you. And most of the time in organizations, it happens that people are a bit reluctant or they take a step back when it comes to a legal department or maybe the HR team and all. So they think 10 times before actually bringing something in front of them.
Absolutely. They feel intimidated.
Right.
And I understand that because they always think that the legal team is out to get us, which is unfortunate. They try and think that. And they think that the HR team, and it's a typical stereotype, they're the police officers of the entity.
Right.
So it's like you've got the enforcement there happening. And actually, it's not that. And also it depends on the organizations. So if I know that I'm working somewhere in an organization that I can trust and that the values are embedded there, then an employee will be happy to come to them and say, as they say, knock, knock on the door, can you help me with something? And that should be there. That door should be open. And unfortunately, it isn't always, speaking realistically, because I can't make everything green, right? And say, it's all perfect. But in general, yes, that should be the case.
Okay. So the GCC work culture is transforming these days.
Yeah.
What legal or HR trends do you believe will define the next 10 years?
Definitely AI. AI is taking
It's
over everywhere.
everywhere.
It's everywhere. Even though I'm one of the people which are a little bit reserved on it, but I will tell you that, okay, if I look at legal, then I'll go into HR. When I look at legal, it's going to help with compliance a lot. It can help also with contract reviews. Things that can trigger in contracts that sometimes you could ignore from the naked eye. How many times would you review a contract, for example? So these little tools there are helping shape now. I can see organizations bringing in these AI tools to help them review contracts, agreements, NDAs, and the things which are actually the basis of potential cases when they go wrong, don't they? Because it's
Right.
always, a case between a company and a company was definitely on a signed document somewhere, wasn't it? And these are the AI tools which are starting to help them kind of to ensure that they're error-free. Now, when you look at HR, I could see it more coming into talent acquisition as well as workforce planning. Now, from somebody which has worked in that field for many years, I think it's going to make a very big difference in workforce planning because it's really an area that HR departments, not all of them, but a lot of them I've seen lack. To put these strategies of 5 years ahead of what is my headcount versus my workload, these kind of data-driven information, this is where AI is going to make a very big change in that. And I honestly, as I said, I'm reserved on it, but I do see that it's going to make a very big difference.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, nowadays, AI is everywhere.
Yeah,
You cannot escape yourself.
No.
I mean, it's in HR, it's in tech. AI in tech is there.
Exactly.
It's in the hiring. It's in the normal day-to-day activities everywhere.
And you don't realize it. You don't realize sometimes you're used to contacting somebody or emailing someone and you don't know it's actually a system replying back, not an actual human there, which scares me, but I mean, it's great.
So you worked in KSA, you
Yes.
worked in UAE and other GCC countries as well. So how do you feel like, how different is HR law across these countries?
I think the fundamentals are the same, but I think this is a mistake that people do make, especially big organizations which have got different branches across the GCC, assuming that, it's all the same labor law. It's not. So obviously these change from country to country based on missions and visions of each country, depending on the values of the countries as well as I would say also the ratio of expats and locals as well. So this is where it plays as well. So I've seen that lacking. There are the basic fundamentals, like I've said in the beginning, you've even got Sharia law embedded in there in most of them. But at the same time, they change. So when you're having these transition between companies now, which I'm seeing some employees based, for example, in Oman, now moving to Saudi Arabia, it's important that HR is educating them on the laws and the labor laws or the HR laws, as you say, because they are different in terms of end of service benefits, in terms of ticketing or any kind of benefits that you're gaining as an employee with the years of service that you're giving. So this is a mistake that people do make, actually, that they assume that it's all the same one. They are all different. So it's very important that HR are educating people on that. We're all humans. We get an offer letter. We look at how much am I going to be paid? What are my leaves entitlement? But really, how is it going to be calculated on end of service? Is it half a basic salary? Is it a full basic salary? It changes from country to country. But in general, it is all coming from the same foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
But in this case, I guess education is very much important. The awareness, I would say.
Asking the questions,
Right.
asking the questions. I know a lot of people, they get an offer, they're excited. You don't know what the scenario is. They could have lost their job. So whatever's going to come in front of them, they're going to sign on it. But also, if you're going to give yourself 10 years in a company, but then you're going to earn half back than what you're currently earning in the country that you're in, then you may need to reevaluate the offers that you're getting and thinking, okay, in the long run, which one is best for me? So that's where you should be able to knock on the door of the HR representative that has given you that offer and say, please tell me, what is the difference between the labor law in Qatar versus Saudi Arabia? And how would it be for me to bring my family later on? They get these shocks later on once they move there. They think, it's not, the basic salary that I should have in the UAE as it should be in Saudi Arabia, for example. They should be able to answer these questions for them before they make that transition.
Thank you so much for mentioning these things. These are the minor things which seems very small from outside, but actually they create a very deep impact later on.
Absolutely.
On your earnings, on your savings, and the visa formalities and other things as well.
Of course, yes. Okay.
So what are the most common issues that escalate into legal disputes could have been avoided?
I like that question. It's because we always get the knock on the door when something goes wrong, right?
Yeah. And before that knock, the person must have thought 100 times whether I should go and knock.
Yeah. Because they know we'll say to them, we told you so.
Right.
Well, the things that I've seen has been poor communication, poor documentation. Documents are everywhere. Agreements are everywhere. Transactions are everywhere. But at the end of the day, they are legal agreements. It's a legal transaction. When you are buying something from me, I'm selling you something based on an agreement. So it's very important that there is this communication with internal stakeholders when they're reviewing the documentations on a yearly basis, whatever they have there. Some people are yearly basis, quarterly, whatever it may be. Communicate with the internal stakeholders. It's very important because each area I can see, for example, you've got procurement and contracts have got their own laws and regulations that they're following. And then you've got the legal team, which are there. Obviously, we're the ones which are, managing all of that. You've got the HR people, which have got the employment contracts, for example. Now, like I was giving the example of before, I have an employee which is now moving to another country, which is working for the same company. Liaise with the internal legal team and say, is there an issue with the current offer that we're going to be giving or the contract that they're going to be signing? What if they don't pass the visa issuance? Can we then bring them back? These type of things, which later on lead into problems down the line for the individual and for the entity. So that lack of communication and that documentation, which hasn't been reviewed by legal professionals. This is where I'm seeing the lack of policy enforcement. So also, as well as being legal in HR, I'm also an ISO auditor. So I could see what people do when they want to get the ISO certifications. They're going full on in saying, okay, these are all the documents required from me. So I can ensure that I'm going to be certified by ISO. So then it's kind of like a star for the company, isn't it? But then at the same time, are you enforcing those policies? Because they're beautiful on documents, but are they being enforced? When they're not being enforced, that's where you see all these legal problems happening down the line. And that's when the knock comes to the door. And then the first thing that we say is, like I said in the beginning, I wouldn't say, I told you so, but more of, why didn't you involve us? We are here to support you. We're not here just to defend. It's easier to prevent than to defend. So this is something where I don't know who's hearing this today, but really do go to your legal team and reach out. There's nothing wrong with it because they're there to support you, not just the company, and you are the company.
But as you're saying that people should go and reach to the legal team. Yeah. But there are the companies, those who, they set the boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't make the things so transparent and easy for the person to just go and ask the question. Just go and knock on the door whenever they feel like or whenever they need their help.
Yeah.
So what is your take on that?
My take on that, I would blame the leadership because it's the management on the top there that should ensure that these departments are communicating. So I could see a lot of leadership styles, which is, I've got 10 team members. I follow up with them on a bi-weekly basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever it is. Why is your team not communicating with internal stakeholders, other departments?
Right.
I care more of that because you can come and knock on my door at any time. But I care more of you asking the procurement team what has changed in their regulations that's going to affect the entity when you come in, when the commercial team come and bring in a new vendor, for example. You see what I mean? And that's really important from a leadership perspective to make sure that I'm not having, as I call them, boxes of different departments with closed doors. there has to be that communication, at least on a monthly basis. Say, what's happening with you? Any trends happening on your side? It could be over a cup of coffee. It doesn't need to be Microsoft
Very
team
formal,
meetings.
yeah.
Why? If we do that, you've then, put hand in hand as an organization, and you're protecting the organization, because we all work for the same one, don't we, at the end of the day? So yeah, I would think it should be leadership putting that in and embedding it in their daily, meetings with their direct reports, saying, what have you done with the other departments? More of rather than saying, what have you done with your own department?
Juhayer, you are working in you have an experience in HR as well as legal,
Yeah.
which is typically seen as a male-dominated industry.
Yes.
Right? And we can see female lawyers,
Yes.
but again, Saudi national women
Yeah.
working in that male-dominating industry.
Yes.
So, what were the challenges you faced, and how did you overcome? And I'm sure you are facing the challenges still.
Of course,
it's a ongoing process.
Of course, and I don't think this is on a country basis. I think generally speaking, what really triggers me, and I say this with full passion, and it triggers me, is when we're looked at as women as emotional, that our decisions are made on emotion. This is what really gets to me, because in fact, no, that's not the case. Because why don't you look at it in a different way, that we've got the sixth sense, we sense things, we read between lines.
Intuition.
That's what it is,
Right.
absolutely. And we're blessed with that. It's a blessing, It could be something very basic from a mother when she's like, I can feel my child, something's wrong with them. The father may not see that, be like, oh, stop making a problem out of nothing.
Yeah.
It's that I'm talking about. And this is something where, yes, I've faced scenarios where they think, it's a very emotional
You're getting
decision.
emotional. Yeah.
Absolutely. But then what I do there is I've learned how to adapt in these meetings. And it's happened to me a lot in meetings. I come prepared with facts, whereas it always was in a scenario where if it was a male in front of me, they were not coming in with facts. They were very much confident, sitting back and saying, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I wanted to turn around and say, no, it's 6, 7, 8, 9, I'd have to very much show the facts 1 time, 2 times, 10 times. And then at the end, they were like, oh, she knows what she's talking about, but they wouldn't admit it to me, right? And this is the thing, that's also the male ego. Now, not all of them, but in general, it's like, but why? Why didn't we see that? It's because we read through lines. We're blessed. It's a blessing. So I would say if you ever face something like that, and it's been very challenging, if you face stuff like that, take it as a challenge. Be like, okay, let me, as I say, examine the ambiance and see how am I going to approach it. If I come in with facts, I say my statistics are speaking numbers. You don't need to say it's an emotional decision here. And then that's when they sit back and they think, okay, it's black and white spoken. And you get over it. But there are the stereotypical, there'll always be that. I think there'll always be that until time changes. Because, we're in a scenario where we're 2025. I agree with you. But at the same time we are in a generation where we've seen a lot has happened in 20 years. You've got people which are stuck at 20 years, and you have people which are 20 years in advance. And in working environments, you're going to come across different people, different challenges. And I think just stay strong and take it as it comes.
I really love it.
Thank you.
I always say this thing. I heard these phrases a lot now. Women are emotional. They are taking the emotional decisions.
Yeah.
And I really love you for that. You mentioned this thing that this is not just the emotion, actually. This is our intuition.
Absolutely.
This is how we read between the lines. This is how we sense the room. And this is the sixth sense or the power which we got, I would say. We are blessed with that.
Of course.
All the females.
Of course.
And rightly mentioned, always go prepared.
Yes.
Always go prepared. If you are not aligned with the facts, words, it's all words. It's just stories, right?
Absolutely. I agree with you. It could all be words, So, and that's what they will judge you on. They'll say emotional words. So come in with the facts, rightly, exactly you said. You come in with the facts and you say, it's nothing to do with me. It's, facts speaking. And then they don't know how to react to that. And you can see, and I would say, don't expect someone to say, oh, good, bravo. They're not going to say that to you because their ego will not allow them. So what are they going to say to you? Okay, fine. Okay, I think we can end this here.
Yes.
So basically you got your round of applause there, didn't you? So it's fine.
Okay, so what are the strengths do you feel that women naturally bring to HR and law that the region still unnoticed or
Attention.
underestimates?
Attention to detail. That attention to detail, I mean, we are very careful. It's our nature, right? We think twice when we do things. This is why they say we're overthinkers. It's not about that we're overthinking. It's about we're making sure that the decision that we're going to take is correct. So if I'm in the legal field and I've got a multi-billion-dollar contract that I'm going to sign on, I'm going to go through it, even if it's 10 times. It doesn't matter. Don't judge me on how many times I did that. Judge me on I'm making sure that I've got attention to detail. And then later on, when someone comes and asks about you, they think, you know what? Yeah, she goes through it so much. She will not sign on black and white. She goes through it. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we can trust her then. So you gain the trust from a way that you're managing that, as well as with HR when it comes to recruitment. I think women in recruitment are the best. I must say that because we, like you said, we examine the room. We can examine, you get candidates which can come in. It's like a performance, isn't it? They're going to come in and perform to you. Never see what's on the document because ChatGPT can make a CV for you nowadays. That's not a problem. It's you being able to get that answer back from them. You know what I mean? You go right, they go left, and you can see how you can manage that scenario. Women can do that. Women can do that. I've seen that. I've been in panels and and I'm not saying that men are not good at what they do. Please don't misunderstand me. But it is more of a woman thing. We can sense it. Again, we're going back to the senses. We can turn around and be like, they know what they're talking about. And then you'll find another person sitting there saying, well, yes, okay, I think you're right. That kind of thing. But then, yeah. And this is what we bring. And it is a field for us. And they should really open these doors for us. And more opportunities should be open.
I think we can sense the vibes, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We know what is going right, what is going wrong. And we can sense the vibes of the person.
Of course.
And of the environment, anything, right?
Well, it's hard to lie to a woman, that's for sure.
Okay. So what advice do you have for young women who fear the corporate legal system because it feels intimidating?
Yes. Don't be scared, but you need to have a strong heart. You're going to face a lot of rejections. You're going to face a lot of closed doors in your face. Take it as a challenge. And remember your purpose, that you have a purpose, especially as a lawyer. Your purpose is the case that you have. And that case is always to do with somebody's life. So you are somebody which you're holding, if it's a whole room of people against you, you've got one person relying on you. So take that as your strength. Let it push you. Have that challenge, and especially in corporate working environments. Now, that's if you are a lawyer that's going to be taking cases to court. Let's say you're working in-house as a lawyer. You'll face a lot of people trying to tackle you. Could be even peers and colleagues. But then that's where you turn around and you say, okay, I'm different based on what, and it's important to be different, especially as a lawyer. There's nothing wrong with it. Me today, I don't... I could be an area of law that I don't particularly cover, for example, sanctions. Okay, it's not wrong that my colleague has got the sanctions there. So with her, I say, okay, you and I are going to become a team now. You're going to cover this, I'm going to cover that. And then each one of you is flourishing in their own way. And then you're less of a threat to one another. And put your hand in hand. It's really important. Unfortunately, I see that in corporate environments. It's the intimidation. Lawyers are strong. They come in, they're very strong, aren't they? And as you're coming in new, you will feel that happening. And it's like you're coming into a cage of lions, right?
Right.
It's what it is. And take it on. Be strong. You are representing you at the end of the day and soon representing someone. So take it on. Be respectful. Earn the trust. Be loyal to the company, but also expect the trust back and the respect back. Like I said, it's a transaction.
And I want to add one more thing here.
Yes.
It's, I guess, the preparation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
To prepare for those scenarios, to prepare for the thing which you are going to sign actually in terms of your career move.
Of course.
You should be prepared what you are planning to do.
Of course, and not to listen. I think this is very important because sometimes when you come into working environments, and it's not just a legal team, it's any team, you sometimes have certain sour employees that would want to, ruin your dreams in a way. They say to you, oh, don't bother, this has never been dealt with in the past and they will not deal with it. Take it as a challenge. Be that person to come in and make that change and say, you know what? I was able to do it, and let your results speak for you. without you going in and saying, by the way, I fixed it. They're going to know you fixed it because no one has been able to do that for years. Take it on. It's going to be hard. You're going to have sleepless nights. It doesn't matter. It's rewarding at the end because at the end of the day, they'll say that person was able to make a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So what was the moment you felt your work was truly making an impact for women in the region?
When I started getting transfers to my department. So I will not say the name of it, but I was working in a particular environment there, and I was making these differences, especially because it was in a way that we had sectors. So I was very high in leadership in the sector, and my approach is different. I always say God has given you eyes, so use them, right? Rather than the ears that we tend to hear of whoever wants to tell you what they want to tell you. So again, I was never the person that was up there dealing with my direct reports. So let's say between me and a secretary, for example, I may have got 5 or 6, people in the process to get to them, right? I made sure I spent time with that lady or that gentleman or whoever it was. I don't want to hear from the line manager what they have to say. So when they were knowing that they're being seen and heard, that's when they started appreciating the type of environment that they're working in and giving more, because they are my asset. If my team, and when I say my team, not my direct team, my whole team, which is reporting up to me, is happy where they are, they're going to perform well. That means my numbers go up. So like I said to you, again, two-way road, a transaction. So when I started seeing that, when it was at the end of year, when they start, the happiness surveys that they do, and my sector was up on the table there, on the panel, as they say, and I was getting very high ratings, and I can see people saying, is there an opportunity to move in here? I can see people trying to shadow, or some of them asking for job shadowing. I was proud of that, saying, good, it's never too late. I had, a lady that came in and said to me, I did my education many years ago, and is it too late to change? I said, no. My mother did a double PhD at the age of 60.
Wow.
Do it. Do what you want to do. And when I saw that I was making a difference, I knew that I'm on the right track. So that's that.
No, this is really lovely, and I personally also believe that you should know with whom you're working.
Yeah.
You should have a cup of coffee with them, sit with
course.
them, talk to them, understand their day-to-day challenges or anything. I mean, like, it's just the line or the hierarchy which you are following, but just a normal conversation which strengthen the bond as well, which is very important.
That is, and that's the thing. Like you mentioned something in the past that I lived in different areas in the world, right? So what did I take from there? I observed, I learned, and as they say, when with the Romans, act like the Romans, right? And I always keep that with me, and I say, I will come and learn from you. We may be from 2 different cultural backgrounds. Let me learn from you. What is culturally acceptable to be done in this scenario, for example? Because especially now where we live in the GCC, it's multinational. So that's very important. Learn from your colleagues, have a cup of coffee, learn about them, they learn about you, and then they start trusting you, and then you're no longer looked at as a competitor. And then you start working together, and then you'll be happier in your working environment.
And this is how the growth will happen.
Absolutely. Because then you're an approachable person, and they like approachable people, don't they? They like someone that they're able to go and ask a question. So they think, great, so she's smart and she's approachable. So that's somebody that we like. And that's how it goes, right?
Okay, so I had this question earlier in my mind, actually, when you were talking about the HR and all. Okay.
Yeah.
So is HR truly meant for the employees, or does HR really try to protect the employers? Okay. I know this is something...
Right, I know. Okay. It is supposed to, please put under it 3 lines.
Okay.
To be for both. Now, unfortunately, in a lot of organizations, it's either or. That's the problem. And the reason behind that is, and I say it to you, and I know a lot of people might not be happy with what I'm saying right now, it's because the HR team is weak, or they don't know what they're doing. Because HR is supposed to be the image of the company. So the first thing, today you're applying for a job, who's the first thing you're going to, first person you're going to speak to?
Of course, the HR of the company.
There you go.
Right.
So I always say, whenever that communication you're going to have with that HR person is the image of the organization you're working or going to potentially work for. So that kind of reaction that you're going to get, that communication, that interaction you're going to get, is what you're going to get in the company. So this is why it's very important that HR knows very well how they're supposed to act, that today you are with the employee and with the entity. Today your assets are the employees. So if HR understand correct performance management systems, how to put targets, and educate managers as well, how to manage team members, then you'll start seeing good performance. So for example, I go to a shop and I get bad customer service. I don't blame the line manager. I blame HR. Why? One, you recruited that person without saying. You are the person which is putting the performance management system, educating line managers on what they should be doing for the organization and how they should meet them. So that's another task for them. You're the person which should be able to listen to the employee. So if they come to you with a problem, you're supposed to stand there and be fair with it. And if needed, liaise with the legal team. So this is where I see HR is lacking. And this is why employees don't like to go to HR. So I don't blame you. If you're going to go to somebody which is going to have beautiful policies written but not know how to enforce them or implement them, then HR doesn't know what they're doing. It goes by that. HR should have the key of trust in an organization. And if I am protecting the entity, that means I'm protecting the employees. Why should I have cases going to employee tribunals for cases? Because I should be there mediating that situation. I'm the person that enforces the policies that should say, this is the responsibility of the line manager, this is the responsibility of the employee. If they're not doing it, that means who's weak here? HR. So again, supposed to, with 3 lines underneath.
Yeah, message well taken. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned that you have been in Dubai since last 17 years?
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Yeah. But you are from Saudi.
I'm from Saudi Arabia. I was born in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think has a perception of Saudi women in leadership changed, or are still the old stereotypes, they are still alive?
You'll get stereotypes wherever you go, right? But I would say it's changing tremendously. I can see a big change from 2017 to 2023. If I'm not wrong, there was a statistics study that was made that 21.2% of female workforce in the Saudi working environments had gone up into the 35%. Please don't quote me on exactly the percentages that I'm talking about, but it's gone up tremendously. The vision of 2030 of Saudi Arabia, beautiful vision by the government, which is now, helping women come into the workforce and giving them everything that they need, even if it's to do with education, if it's to do with employment opportunities. They're coming out of that cultural norm, which is beautiful. So nowadays, it's very common for you to go into Saudi Arabia and find Saudi women working in different areas. Not particularly saying that these positions are only for locals. They're everywhere, so they understand that. Especially when you're coming into leadership. The other day, I was so proud. I mean, that's just me, but I was so proud when I looked into the Forbes magazine and I could see the leadership or the female leaders in the GCC and how many names of Saudi women were on there. And that's beautiful because they're making a difference. And from the biggest families of Saudi Arabia, which is lovely. And that cultural norm is now being put to sleep. We're out there, we're being educated. We've got our country backing us, doing so much for us, and we're everywhere. So I can see a very big change, and I'm expecting even more as we approach 2030.
And I think this is changing the vision completely, like bringing more motivated, more female power into the workforce and everything. It's going to make it more stronger.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, it's very important that nationalization is happening because they are the citizens of each country. And I'm not just speaking about Saudi Arabia, across the GCC. And also, the more that you have the female nationals there, the more that's showing the strength. Because again, and I will say this, behind every strong man is a woman, right? So we are there. We are there. So if we're not behind them, we're now next to them. We're now being seen. And it's very important.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So you're passionate about philanthropy as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And animal welfare,
Yeah.
especially dogs.
Yes.
And you mentioned that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does the compassion play into your leadership style?
So Not just dogs, I think as well. I've had cats in the past as well. So I've learned something from animals. So I'm going to give a little example. So for example, I had one of my cats. It was a stray cat that I picked up. And one day got very sick and I went to the vet. And then they said to me, the cat was suffering for over 7 months. But I looked at the vet and I said, but it was absolutely fine. He said, because they suffer in silence. So unless you are checking up on them regularly, you will not know what they're going through. And I had a wake-up call. Now, unfortunately, that pet passed away because it was too late. But obviously, that's not relevant to the working environment. But I mean, it is in a sense that the key word there was suffering in silence for so many months. You have employees suffering in silence in so many months. So this is something when I was saying in the beginning that I make sure from the highest leadership I'm sitting with to maybe, as they call them, the non-existent employee. I want that employee to exist. I want that employee to be able to speak to me for me to know how they're suffering. They could be having a horrible line manager. They could be having very bad colleagues. They might be facing discrimination. I don't know, anything they could be facing. You know what I mean? Harassment, anything could be happening and they're too scared to speak about it. So why suffer for months on end if you can't go, for example, as you said, to the legal team, to be able to go up to a member of leadership, walking in the hallway, grabbing a cup of coffee and say, do you have a minute? That needs to happen. That needs to change. And that's really what I learned from my pets, that they don't speak. And a lot of employees don't speak because they're scared to speak. Speak. You have to, if your voice is not heard, but be smart in how you speak. Make sure that if you are suffering from something, you go to the right person. Now, you might say to me, who is the right person? Well, at least if you know that your problem is with the direct manager, you need to go to the reviewing manager, as they say, to the one above. And then you can go up. Now, me, I don't keep that. I speak to everybody. But this is what I'm trying to say. They need to be able to do that because they are the people protecting you, right? And they should be protecting you. If you can't knock on the door of HR, your line manager's got a sense of responsibility. And so does the reviewing one. And this is really what I've taken away from that. People that are suffering in silence, day in, day out, they come in. I mean, they could be facing workplace bullying. Who knows? And, you know, you don't know if they've eaten. You don't know if, God forbid, someone's passed in their family the night before. They're going through everything, but yet being loaded with work, with zero compassion because no one's hearing them. Know where you need to speak and speak up. Definitely speak up.
Oh, I'm sure this episode is going to be an eye-opener for many people.
I hope so.
Especially for the leaders, actually. Yeah. It is very crucial to be in touch with your team member. That one-on-one meetings, that just 15 minutes of call, maybe Teams, Zoom, coffee, casual meeting, anything is really very important. And I'm glad. Thank you so much for bringing that during this conversation.
Thank you. And I like I said, I do hope that leaders are listening to this, and please start from today, from tomorrow, go and see your employees, have a chat, take that 5 minutes. We've got 5 minutes to scroll on our phone. We've got 5 minutes to speak to people. Let's not be behind screens anymore.
All right.
Yeah.
You have shared a lot of message, lot of insight, but still I want to know, like, is there any particular message which you want to leave through this platform for the people, those who are listening?
Ladies, be strong. Be strong. Learn, listen, look around you. You know, we've got so many opportunities out there. No matter how many times a door closes, there is one that's going to open. And definitely if it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, take the challenge. Keep on trying. Don't stop. And for the leadership as well, like I said before, please spend time with your employees because they are your asset. You want your business to be successful. If your employees are successful and happy, your numbers are going up. And I think that's really important. They need to remember that. It's not about meeting sales targets. It's about who's selling that product is actually doing good.
And I'm sure it's going to be an eye-opener for many. Thank you so much for bringing such great insights from your experience on our show. And whatever you have mentioned is really very important for the leaders, for the employees as well as for the HR professionals to understand, to go deep, to know the team members, to know the employees. Thank you so much for bringing all these.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And I think this is a very lovely opportunity for the Women's Society. At least we're being heard now, and this is another way. So what you're doing is really nice. And
Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you're doing for the community.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.